Hello students, this is Mrs. Kane. So we're back to talk about skimming again. Now we've been learning that skimming is fast reading, a little bit like scanning because it's fast reading, but it's quite different to scanning in that rather than being because we're looking through a particular text to find a specific piece of information, it's more like we're finding out whether or not this text is interesting or likely to be useful to us, or is one that we want to do some more reading in the future. And so what we're going to do is work in, you'll have a page that looks very much like me, like this one here, and it says information text skim. What we're going to do is work through this and see what we can tickle in our informational text. Now, an informational text is not the same thing as a novel, is it? It's something that's factual, or that's trying to give us information that's factual at least. It's an author's opinion of what's factual quite often. So an information text. Now the one that we've been using is this one because this is an information text. It gives us information. Okay, and so we've been using this to do our skimming. Now, like I told you, you can use skimming to find a great novel at the library. You can use skimming when you're on the internet and you're just finding out, oh, is there any news article here that's worth reading? Sometimes it's a great way to find out what to put in the bin, basically, what things you need to chuck out because you just think, so to not look at because, well, that's rubbish. That's just not the kinds of things that we read. So you can just go skim, okay, no. And yes, this looks like a good website for me to explore. Those other websites are not good websites at all. And I could tell just by a quick skim. I didn't have to read all of the rubbish. I could just tell it was not a very good thing or a very helpful thing there. Okay, so let's get into some skimming here with our book, Our Planet Earth. Now we're going to be using this page. I've made a really large version, but you've got your own of these, okay? So I've made a large version. We're going to work down this list. Now try to hold it where you can see on the camera. Hopefully you've got yours right in front of you. Okay, so instead of putting your name here, because you'll know who you are, what you might like to put is even the name of the text that you're reading. Now, I want you to have a look with me, and so in this case, we'll write Our Planet Earth, and then we're going to go down and see what kinds of things are in Our Planet Earth. So I'm just writing down, first of all, Our Planet Earth. Now, that's what I'd like you to do as well on your copy, because remember this one, this time we're doing a we do, so a join in lesson where you join in and do this with me, because next time around you'll just be working on this kind of thing by yourself. I'll explain what you need to do and then you'll be busy doing it. So I've written here text, Our Planet Earth, and now I'm going to look down and find out what does Our Planet Earth have. Now let me see. Contents. What do I mean does it have contents? Of course there's some contents, there's some stuff inside it. There are contents like that, but what they mean is there an index list? So let's have a look. Remember from last lesson we found this, didn't we? Is there an index? And here we are. I've just opened up. Let me show you the book. That's the front cover. We've got a title page, and now I'm into the contents page. So yes, when I do a quick skim of this book, I can find that it has contents page. So I'm going to go tick. So you can tick next to the word contents as well. Then I've got to see, does it have a title? Yes, it has a title. Tick. Is there a subheading? Well, I'm going to turn over to that to the page that we were at before. If you remember, and you've got the printout or you've got that up on your screen, you'll see from before we actually went to this to Chapter 25, volcano types. And let's have a look. So this is a bit of a title for this chapter, I suppose. Are there subheadings? Let's look down here. What are the different kinds of volcanoes? Sorry, put it where you can see it. What are the different kinds of volcanoes? Words to know, challenge words. And then here's a subheading. What is the first thing you think of when you hear the word volcano? And even looking over further, I can see a couple of pages over from there. What did we learn? And taking it further. So we can see that, yes, there are subheadings. Let's go tick. Let's see. So we're going to really look at this chapter of this book to find out the things here. It says next one is a sidebar or a key. So you can see I've been working away on my list. I'm ticking off the things that I find. A check. Can I find them? If I can, tick. If I can't find them, I guess I might put a cross in there. You could leave it blank, but I think a cross is even better. So the next one says a sidebar or a key. Let's have a look here. I'm looking to see, can I find a sidebar or a key on these pages here? Sidebar or a key. I guess I'm not seeing a sidebar or a key here. Oh yes, I think I'd call this a sidebar. Even though it's not at the side, it's just that little bit of extra information in a set apart area to tell us about what's in there. So I'm going to say tick, sidebar or key, tick. Labels. Let's have a look. Are there any labels on things here? Looking. So you could have your printed pages. I might get my printed pages. Things might be a bit easier to handle them. Okay, so looking at my printed pages here. Can I find a key? Now we know what a key is. A key usually tells us what these different colors or lines or different aspects of something mean. So a key. Is there a key? I'm not seeing a key on any of these pictures. This picture. So it's got a bit of explanatory text up here, but there isn't a key, is there? So here they could have done a key. They could have done something at the side here that had, say, orange and said lava, because that's what that orange part means. And maybe there's lava tubes or something like that. I'm not sure what they would have written there, but just to tell us what the different colors in this picture mean. Over here it could have just been dirt, I don't know, surrounding earth, something like that. But no, they haven't done a key. So I'm going to put a cross on that section. Let's see. Oh, we've got a sidebar, yes, but a key, no. Okay, labels, no. There's no labels on our pictures here. Okay, what about photographs? Were there any photographs? Oh, yes, I remember that there were a couple of photographs here. Let's have a look. This picture here is a photograph. Not just a drawing, is it? It's actually a photograph. And this picture here is a photograph. So yes, this does contain photographs. Are there captions? Captions are just a few explanatory words that go along with a picture or a diagram. Is there a caption? Oh yes, let's have a look here. You can see here, we can see a caption. So are you ticking caption on your page? You need to be doing this as well, because then when you work on an informational text by yourself, you're going to be really good at it already. You already understand. Comparison. Is there comparison? Let me see. I remember that we looked up about cinder cones before, and that we could see that there were two different kinds of volcano, or three different kinds actually. And so there is a comparison, because first it tells us what a shield volcano is like, and then it tells us what a cinder volcano is like, cinder cones, and tells us about that, and then composite volcanoes and what they're like. And so, so it explains those different kinds and how they compare to one another. So, so for instance, it says cinder cones have steep sloping sides and are usually smaller than other types of volcanoes. So that's comparing a cinder cone volcano to other kinds of volcanoes. So yes, that is a comparison, and I can tick comparison. What about a cutaway? It's a cutaway. I think a cutaway is like a bit like an insert or something, or where we go straight into something. Oh, I know what it is. It's like, in this case, it would be like you could have a diagram of a volcano, and here's a volcano. It just all looks like dirt. But if they do a picture that looks as though they sliced the volcano open and you can just see inside the volcano like that, that would be a cutaway. And here we have a cutaway, don't we? Here's another cutaway and another cutaway. So the volcano actually looks more like that, but it's as though they've sliced it open and you can just see the inside like that. So yes, I'm ticking cutaway. Are you ticking cutaway? I hope you've been ticking each of these things as we go along, and make sure you don't tick it if there isn't one there. What about a close-up? You see that next one says close-up? Are there any close-ups? So a close-up. So you know, I can sit here and then you can see me from there. But if I turn it to the camera like this, you'd be having a close-up of my mouth. You could have a close-up of my earring there. See, close-up shot. Okay, so what did I do? Close-ups. Let me see. I would say that this is a diagram, and this is definitely not a close-up shot, is it? Definitely not a close-up shot there. And this over here, well, that's because if you were close up to that, it's a very, very big, so that's quite a distance shot, really. And that's a distance shot. What else have we got? And then this one here, well, that's obviously a distance shot as well, isn't it? A little bit closer up to that that tree there. And it's you can see the eruption up above it. That's still got to be a distance shot. But when I look at this one, by comparison to the others, I would call that a bit of a close-up, a lot more of a close-up than the other shots are. So I'm going to tick yes, close-up. So how are you going? Have you ticked all these things on your list? Tick, 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 tick. Oh, one cross there where we've got labels, and also I put a cross over here because although there was a sidebar, there wasn't a key. Okay, and what about a map? It's the next thing on our list is a map. Are there any maps in these pages here? Let's have a look at them. Page 1 of our chapter 25 and page 2 of chapter 25. Looking for any maps. And page 3, the final page of chapter 25. Can you see any maps? No, there are no maps. Okay, so what will you do? If there's no maps, then of course you're going to put a cross. Cross. Now, what about a table? A table, so it's usually like a grid formation, and it could say, so in this case, if they were going to put in a table, it would probably say cinder cone volcano, shield volcano, composite volcano, and then it would have the characteristics of each, how they work. So it might say, you know, the amount of lava that they put out, or how they, how the lava comes out, or different things like that. So let's have a look. Can we find a table? Are there any tables here? Tables. Any little grids full of information for us? Any tables? That doesn't mean a table you eat dinner on, does it? No. Okay. I will say, what are you going to say? I'm going to say no. There's no tables. Cross. What about a summary? So looking at my page here, this is what I've ticked off. Cross, and cross, cross, but the rest are ticks. And then this one says summary. Are there any summaries, or is there a summary? So a summary is where we say this tells you all of that information that we've just talked about, but really quickly. So it's like you have introduction to a chapter, tells you what the chapter is going to be about, then you've got all the different parts of the chapter, and then at the end there could be a summary that tells you what I just said, but just in a few words. So instead of going on and on and on forever, it's just boom, really quick, but it still lets you know what that was all about. So let's have a look. Where would we find the summary? A summary is always going to be at the end, isn't it, really? So we're going to be looking at the end for the summary. Let's have a look and see, is there a summary? Let me see. I'm going to look on the last page to see if there's a summary. Okay, so it's the information is continuing here. This part here says, what did we learn? And then it tells us what we learned. It says, what are the 3 shapes of volcanoes? Oh, actually, that's asking questions. What are the most active volcanoes? Where are the most active volcanoes located today? That's a question. Another one, what are some of the dangers of volcanoes? And what are some positive side effects of volcanoes? So that's not a summary. But if you answered those questions, you would make a summary, wouldn't you? So, oh, that's not a summary. Oh. Okay, and just above it, so I'm looking above it thinking maybe that little bit just above it is the summary. Okay, but just above it, instead it's telling us all about different kinds, different specific volcanoes, not different kinds of volcanoes. Oh, well, you'll have to have a look and decide. But I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, no, there's not really a summary. Like, I don't think there's a very good summary of any of that there. You could write a great summary if you wanted to. Okay, I'm going to put cross on summary. Now, was there an index? Well, to this chapter, no. There's not an index to this chapter. We look at the front of the chapter and it just goes straight into telling us what interesting words we might need to know and then starts to talk about everything. So there's no index there, no. Now, this next word is glossary. Do you know what a glossary is? Okay, so a glossary is a little bit like a dictionary. It's a collection of all of the interesting words and what they mean. Now, we've looked at these pages, so you already know that although they tell us on the front what the interesting words are, they don't give us a collection of those words and their meanings here anywhere, do they? No. Okay, so they don't give us any glossary in that chapter, okay? But I'm going to have a look at the book and see if the book has a glossary. Often these kinds of books do have a glossary. And do you know where they keep them? They will usually keep a glossary at the end. If I wanted to find out if the book had a glossary, I would probably go to the index for the book. So I can get that up there. And right towards the bottom of that index, I'd see if I could find this word, glossary. There it is, glossary. And there's the page that it's on. So I'm going to go and have a look at page 132 in this book. Page 132. And here it is. Here's our glossary. Let's see if I can put it where you can see it easily. Glossary. And you see it's got all sorts of interesting words there. Active volcano, etc., etc., etc. Lots of words that we might not be quite sure of what they mean, and they're quite specific. We call that subject-specific words. So a glossary will be a collection of subject-specific words, words that are particularly about this thing that we don't usually use when we're just chatting. You won't probably see the word mother in there, for instance, or house. You would usually see words that are quite a little bit interesting, a little bit special, and only used in particular circumstances. So that's the glossary. So you could tick, you could say no or yes. I would say if you put a cross on that because there isn't one in that chapter, that would be okay. Okay, so I'm changing what I've written up the top a little bit. I'm going to write chapter 25. Or you could have a tick and write the word book after it. So that's what I've done. It's up to you, but I've tick crossed because there's not one in the chapter. And up here, if you have a look, I've written our planet Earth. And underneath our planet Earth, I've written the words chapter 25. And then down here, you'll see where I've crossed it because there isn't one in the chapter, no index and no glossary in the chapter, but for the book, yes. And for the book, yes. There is an index for the book, and there is a glossary for the whole book. Okay, so we've learnt now how to do this information text skim. And this was an example one. You've worked alongside of me, or at least I hope you have. And you've done some ticking as well, and that way you're really ready. Okay, so what you're going to be doing, now that you've seen me do it, you'll be ready to do it yourself in the next lesson. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.